I'm Chris from Airwindows, and hey, you can do this. Now that might sound a little bit familiar because that sounds like the music used for Console 0. But what we've got today is a little thing called EveryConsole. Here's what this is. This is every variation of console channel and bus in one plugin with an in and an output trim. And that should do a pretty good job of letting you make some wild experiments. Now here's the thing. This is not going to sound like a wildly different thing. I've got it set up. Also note that this is giving you Console 0 without the averaging aliasing reduction filtering. So this is the Console 0 that will run at 44.1K or whatever, or be oversampled. Everything in this could be oversampled. Everything in this is designed to be minimalist, and it is the simplest possible form of that kind of processing, whether it be a saturation processing for the channel versions or an expansion processing for the bus versions. That is how this stuff works. Console systems do an encode and a decode stage, and the way they are designed is to only affect sort of the glue factor of the sound and not actually change the sound at all. We depart from that a little bit though. First, let's listen to what each of these things sound like. We've got it going on Console 0, right? I am going to leave all of the encodes as Console 0 channel and start fooling around with Console 0 bus, as you can see on the output. Now you can see we can turn it also to Console 0 channel. And we just made stuff a little bit louder because we're not decoding the sound this time. It's designed so that you go through the encode stage, decode it, and it puts it back to what you started with. But the way that works is the combination of tracks makes stuff react differently. Let's look at some of the other alternatives. Retro console channel. This is the old school version. This didn't even really decode properly. Retro bus. We've got sine channel encode and arcsine channel decode. These are all very subtle effects. It's not designed to be a big exaggerated thing. For that, you might try, for instance, I think it's Console 7 Cascade or Console 7 Crunch. Or you could try the channel plugin. Channel 9, I believe, is the most recent one. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to get a more exaggerated effect, but this is me working on how to make channels combine with each other and sound like expensive analog summing desks, and those are not loaded with lots of distortion, so it becomes kind of tricky. We've got the sine and arcsine, and the sine encode and arcsine decode are what you found in Console 8. Everything else is tone shaping. Console 6 is an entirely different algorithm, and then Console 6 bus. We've got Console 7. That's not quite the same thing as Console 8. Console 7 bus. Lastly, what I'm calling BShift channel. And BShift bus, that's the one I just put out as PurestConsole 3. It is the extension of the sort of optimized version of the sine algorithm that I was working on. And then lastly, C0 channel, and you'll hear the slight volume drop as we switch from double encode to encode/decode. And that is what it's supposed to sound like. And this is what I'm going to be working with as I try to get the guts of the summing algorithm working right for big console emulations. Because I got a bunch of them that I'm working on. For instance, the Quad 8, and I've got a list of them posted over here. TG12345, MCI is a classic. Helios, the mighty Trident A range, EveryConsoles, of course. These are going to have most of their color applied in different ways. For instance, they're going to make use of what I've been working on in Golden Slew, then Platinum Slew, and then lastly, Every Slew is likely how I'm going to dial that stuff in. Likewise, working on getting the summing algorithms and the final stages of the emulations correct is going to involve dialing in stuff using these tools that I've been making and putting it out. So theoretically, you could do a better job of doing an EveryConsole than me and put it out first if you really have good references and know what you're doing. Or you could let me do it for you, because I'm going to be focusing on that kind of thing. There's been a lot to focus on lately, but this EveryConsole plugin that I'm putting out is like the way that I'm kind of dialing it in theory, since it's an encode and decode, what you can do is run audio through a stack of the encodes and then a stack of the decodes, and it will come out to be the same thing if they perfectly match. Sine and arcsine perfectly match. So you should be able to stack up an infinite number of EveryConsole with these settings. See, sine parentheses channel and arcsine parentheses bus, or B is what it says. You should be able to stack up any number of the channel and then any number of the bus if they match and get a perfectly accurate result out of it, as long as you're not aliasing. So you're going to want to run, for instance, a sine test wave into it or whatever. These are still subject to aliasing, but you know what? Interesting thing about this is that you get to run oversampling on any of these instances, including anything that you're doing with EveryConsole. That's if you want to do that, because I found that the experimenting I was doing the other week was actually doing a sort of intermediate oversampling stage, not the R8 brain. And so I've just recently updated Reaper, and it seemed to have fallen into some kind of default. So I'm going to be amending that in future templates for other stuff that I'm working on going forwards. I would like to default to R8 brain. My computers are powerful enough to do it. Anyways, there's lots to do. I mean, you might or might not be able to see that there's lots to do. I'm working on a different look because I found a way to apparently make my camera look more like an Arri Alexa, and that seems exciting. So there's a LUT, and there are ways to take this LUT and do what I did years back of doing a little posterize effect on that for a sort of neat, sort of lysergic looking effect on stuff. And I'm busily experimenting with that. That should be fun. And, oh, one more thing. You might notice that you've got this video and you've got this new plugin, and all of that is the way we normally like to have it. with a bit of luck, I will be uploading it a little bit quicker because I'll tell you, the new internet is installed. All that's left is to uninstall the old internet. It's not technically 100 times faster than what I had, because what I had was running up to 16 megabit, whatever they measure it at, 16 megabits according to Cloudflare's new speed test thingy. So I did a little measurement, and what I've got now is not 100 times faster. It's 50 times faster for slightly less than I was paying. So obviously I am getting carried away of experimenting with cameras and things, and I've got all of these balls in the air as far as the plugins and the modeling of analog consoles and stuff. But you know, that's how I roll. I like doing things like that. And one of the things about trying to do the video stuff differently is I'm trying to get it so that I can both do super high quality streaming and or just turn around videos more quickly so that I can do more of them. And if I can do that, then I will. It's always something, but with luck, it's fun somethings. And I'm looking forward to doing this kind of thing in a world where rather than taking 5 hours to upload a video, it's 6 minutes. That's what 50 times better gets you. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later. Hope you like EveryConsole. Bye-bye.